Fuck AI. I'm taking its job instead. Am I the asshole for expecting my partner to pay for a replacement laptop? My girlfriend and I live together. We split the chores pretty evenly. Lately though, she's been putting stuff on top of my laptop when she's cleaning. I asked her to stop since I didn't want it getting damaged, and she did it again the following week, and I reminded her that it could break if she kept piling stuff on top of it. Then, last week, she did it again, and sure enough, when I went to use my laptop, the screen was broken. I showed her and said I expect her to cover the cost of replacing it. She said she didn't think she should have to pay, and I pointed out that I'd asked her multiple times to stop, and she still kept doing it. She called it an accident, but I told her even if it was, she'd still be responsible for the damage. She's sticking with her stance that since she didn't mean to break it, she shouldn't have to pay, but I don't agree. Am I the asshole for expecting her to pay for a replacement laptop? Am I the asshole for letting him eat what he cooked? Me, 35F, and my spouse, 38M, are the parents of a 5-year-old neurodivergent kid. My husband refuses to educate himself on that topic. At the same time, he has recently admitted how much he hates my tendencies to micromanage everything. I can understand that. I'm the only one consistently anticipating our daughter's mental state in order to be able to regulate her nervous system and prevent avoidable meltdowns. Yet, in order to save our relationship, I am learning to keep our mouths shut. Today, our daughter returned home from a really overstimulated day, and I let her draw and play some calm music to help her unwind. Later, my husband decided to play a video game, but our daughter wanted his attention. Therefore, he chose to show her the game which has a lot of visual and flashing effects. And as always, he turned the volume up. They were doing so for approximately an hour while I was tidying our daughter's bedroom. When he decided to quit the game, our 5-year-old started being really dysregulated and difficult, having a hard time, and he could not get her to bathe. That's when he came to me to take over, and I decided to say no. Am I the asshole for making him be responsible for his choices? Am I the asshole for peeing standing up in a traffic jam? I, 26F, and my boyfriend, 25M, got stuck in an insane traffic jam. Boyfriend was driving, we were at a standstill, found out later they had closed the highway. I had to pee really bad, like bad, and I saw that a couple of guys had run to the side of the road to pee, and I decided to do the same. It was super open with a few bushes at the side of the road, really not much cover. I have a stand to pee device in my car, but when I grabbed it, my boyfriend got all weird. He said people would see me peeing standing up and think I was trans. I said no one would think that, plenty of women have pee funnels, and that I also didn't care. I have no beef with trans people. He said I should squat, just to put his mind at ease. I said I didn't want to get my butt and cooch out on the highway in front of everyone, or get pee on my shoes. I just wanted to be quick and clean. He said he didn't want people to look at the girl he was dating and think she was trans, and that I should squat just like girls do. I'm dying by this point. I finally couldn't hold it in anymore, and I really didn't want to show the world my butt, so I ran into the side of the road and slipped the device into my jeans. It just slides through the zipper. But I guess maybe if someone was looking, they'd be really confused. When I got back to the car, my boyfriend wouldn't talk to me. He says I was disrespectful to his feelings, but it was 100% an emergency. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for being cruel for telling my daughter she'll need to pay back the money that I spent on her wedding? My daughter was supposed to get married in about 4 months, and I learned earlier that this week the wedding is off and it had been off for about a month now, and I just learned about it. In short, he learned my daughter had been cheating on him early into the relationship and called it off. I personally had given her the money for the wedding under some conditions, and it was not a gift. The main condition was that there had to be some venue that was accessible for people with disabilities. So I put the money down for the venue. Anyways, the wedding is canceled, the venue doesn't do refunds, and she has already told them she will not need the time slot and nothing will happen to that day. I still need to pay the venue. They're not giving me any money back and are holding that price. I called her and told her that I needed her to help pay for the venue, and that since the wedding isn't happening, I need her to pay me back some. We had a huge argument, and she called me cruel for doing this. I pointed out that the wedding would have happened if she didn't cheat on that man, and that this wasn't a gift at all. She is pissed, and I'm out like 10k. Am I the asshole? Am I the scallywag for dyeing the sweater my sister-in-law knitted for me? My sister-in-law, my brother's wife, offered to make me a sweater. I'm also a knitter, and I understand the time and effort that goes into a project like this, and I said yes. I said yes, but then asked if I could pick out a color, and also said I would happily pay for the yarn. She declined and said that she wanted it as an excuse to use up her stash. She is a big-time tee-hee, I have a stash beyond life expectancy type. She finished the sweater for me, and it fit great, but it was in a beige color that I would never wear. I'm a soft autumn who prefers plums, roses, terracottas, olives, etc. I don't like plain colors very much, but I loved the look of the sweater. So I ended up dyeing it to a pretty green. I reach for it all the time. I wore it when I was hanging out with family and she was there, and she said it looked like the one she'd made. I said that it was, but I dyed it. She stared at me for a really long time and finally said, I wish you would have told me you were going to do something like that, and I wouldn't have wasted my Malabrigo on you. What is Malabrigo? I was taken aback and I told her that I absolutely loved the sweater. I just would have never worn it as a beige sweater. She got the sour lemon look on her face and she said she would keep it in mind to never knit anything for me ever again. She got up and left the room, and I didn't talk to her the rest of the night. I live in a different city than my family, so I probably won't see her again for a while. She has every right to not knit for me again, but was dyeing the sweater really that big of a deal? I thought it would be better for me to dye it a different color than for me to never wear it. Am I the scallywag? Am I the jester for telling my wife I don't want her mom to have my location all the time now? My wife shares her location with her family, sometimes her friends. I really never thought much about it. I don't like to share my location with her, which she has never liked. I personally don't like it, freaks me out to be tracked 24/7. The issue was earlier this week. I needed surgery and I wanted to keep everything private. I didn't even tell my own mom and dad, and my wife agreed not to share it with anyone either. It was on Monday. Everything overall went well until my wife's mother showed up. She apparently noticed my wife was in the hospital, and when she didn't pick up, she came down. She thought my wife was hurt. It became this big thing, and basically everyone on my wife's side was told that someone was in the hospital. My own mom and dad were contacted, and I had to explain the situation. I hated this. It is clear to me that if my wife is tracked 24/7, then I also am being tracked. I hate that this whole situation got out because of people knowing my wife's location. My wife and I got into an argument, and I don't want her sharing her location anymore with her mom or her family 24/7. She is calling me controlling and a dick. I am pointing out that it is invading my own privacy, and then she needs to cut the string on her mom. Am I the asshole? Am I the jester for telling my kids that I'm not responsible for their mother's issues and not giving her money? I divorced my ex-wife about 5 years ago when I learned she had a private emergency fund. The problem with it was I was working 60 to 80 hours a week to keep up with the bills while she was laid off. I was under the impression that we were struggling a ton and broke my back to pay the bills, when in reality, she would squirrel around away $50K and was still adding to it. The divorce was messy, and I learned a lot about spending that I didn't know on her end. Also, a lot of credit card debt. In the end, the house was sold and we both moved into our separate places. The kids were in high school at the time when the divorce happened, we were young when we had them, and now they're both in college, and bounce with who they stay with. The issue is my ex-wife's money problems. I'm doing well for myself and recently bought a house. My ex is not, and is having trouble keeping a job. She's going to get kicked out of her apartment soon. My kids want me to help her out, and I've told them no many times, and it's growing into a disagreement. They think I'm being heartless, and that it's my fault that she's having issues because I did the divorce, and I told them their mother's issues are not my problem. They're ignoring me, and I'm wondering if I'm in the wrong. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for not wanting to give up my cart for free at an Aldi's? So I don't know if Aldi's are everywhere or not, but their carts require you to put a quarter in them every time you use them. But you get your quarter back when you return them. It's to convince people to push their carts back to the front of the store rather than leaving them in the parking lot. An unspoken rule is if someone grabs your cart from you before you turn it in, they give you a quarter for it. This lady asked for my cart and I asked if she had a quarter and she said no. I shrugged and turned it in to get my quarter back. She got really upset, and some other people kind of side-eyed me, and it made me feel like a jerk. I don't keep change or use cash, I just keep the quarter in my center console for when I shop there. So to me, if I give out the cart, I would be shit out of luck the next time I shop there. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for refusing to switch project topics after my classmate claimed it late? In one of my university classes, we had to pick a presentation topic from a shared Google Sheet. It was first come, first served, and the professor said once you put your name down, it's yours. There was this one topic everyone wanted because it's easier and has a lot of sources. I checked the sheet the night it opened and I saw no one had written their name in, so I added mine. The next morning, a girl from my class messaged me saying she was planning to take that one and had already told her friends that she was doing it. She said she forgot to add her name before going to bed and asked if I could switch with her. The only topics left were more complicated and definitely would require more work. I told her I was sorry, then I picked it fairly and I didn't want to switch. Now some classmates are saying I was technically right, but socially kind of harsh, because everyone knew she wanted the topic, and I could have just been nice. I feel like if she really wanted it, she should have written her name down, but I really don't want to be that person. Am I the asshole? Hey, where am I fucking going? Am I the asshole for reminding my friend that she slept with more than one person? A friend of mine recently met this new guy, and he's pretty conservative. Ever since then, she's adopted a lot of conservative talking points and has become obsessed with purity and innocence. You've used your daily usage limit. If you'd like to continue, please like, comment, and subscribe. Or buy our business plan subscription for $20,000 for more tokens. Thank you very much for your time. She posted on her social media story the other day that anyone who sleeps with multiple people is a slut and should be ashamed of themselves. I replied telling her that I'm surprised she's saying this, because she told me she's having sex with a few other guys before. She even teased me for being a virgin. She got really upset and then said I remembered wrong and went on a rant about how I'm trying to throw her past in her face. Am I the asshole for asking her this? Am I the asshole for canceling visitations because my late husband... I'll leave that one in. Am I the asshole for canceling visitations because my late husband's sister always seems to know best? I lost my husband almost 2 years ago, and even though I've tried my best to always include his family in our son's life, it feels like they want to control how I raise him. Can't even pick a hairstyle without my sister-in-law complaining about it, lol. We have an arrangement where he visits them and stays for 2 weekends every month, and honestly, this hasn't been easy. I never pick my son the same way when I drop him off, and even after I've spoken to them about it so many times, just too many ridiculous things they complain about. Sometimes they even coach my son on things to say to me just so they can get what they want. Picked up my boy last weekend, and he's telling me Auntie told him to tell me he wants to change schools, even though he told her he likes his current school. She had spoken to him about changing schools previously, and I said no. I called her today to inform her that there'll be no visitations anymore, and you can come by my house to see my son for a few hours and leave. Now she's claiming that I'm trying to push her and her family away from the boy's life because that's what you've always wanted. I mean, I know how close she was with my husband, but I don't think it makes a lot of sense that she should dictate what I do with my boy. Or am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for not warning people that a character in a friend's book was based on me? My best friend Cass is an author who has a few books out. There are bits and pieces of me and everyone she loves and everything she does, but she wrote a character that's heavily based on me for her most recent book. Personality, appearances, some life events, etc. There's a love interest who is also based heavily on a friend of ours, Riley, in the same way. The characters also end up together. We all met in college, FYI. Riley and I have also never dated, hooked up, or anything like that. I knew this was happening. We have a tradition where I read her third draft, but Riley is not a huge reader, so I never mention it to them. Same with my husband. The book came out and I didn't even think about it, because while the character is based on me, it's not me. Well, sometime later, we were at another friend's house when Riley was there. Cass asked Riley if they had read the book, and Riley said that they were surprised to find out that we ended up together and felt it was odd. My husband asked what Riley meant. Cass said the characters were based on us. My husband was surprised, and they both asked why we didn't tell them ahead of time. Both of them feel blindsided and uncomfortable about it, and I said, in my defense, I don't go spilling details about Cass's books in general. And again, the characters are not actually us. And most readers, unless they are the creepy fandom stalkery type, would have no way of knowing this. Should I have told them? Am I the asshole? I'm running out of costumes. Would I be the asshole if I told my roommate that she used my pube razor on her face? I, 20F, live with my boyfriend, 21M, who we'll call Caleb, and our roommate, 24F, who we'll call Sage. I recently noticed my razor had been moving from the spot I put it. Sage and I agreed we'd have different colored razors, so I assumed the first time or two that it was moved by accident. But today, I noticed her face was freshly shaved, and she didn't have a razor in the bathroom, where mine was moved. I'm stressing out on how to ask her if she used it, and if she did, if I'd be the asshole if I told her that I used it to shave my bikini area, so she realizes how gross it is to use someone else's hygiene products. So, would I be the asshole? Am I the asshole for having and using emergency spices at a dinner? I, 28M, was raised by my parents to always smile and stomach it when I'm a guest in someone else's home, and they serve food that I didn't enjoy. I've carried this into adulthood because I think it's just polite. If I really don't like a meal I'm served, I'll just eat a little bit of it and maybe grab food on the way home. But recently, I was in the store and I found a little tiny bottle of a spice called Hygiene, which I love. And now, when I have a bad meal, I just wait for the attention to be away from me and pop a dose of the tahine in it, and it masks whatever flavor I don't like. Recently, I was at a family gathering and my aunt served this weird concoction of chicken, sausage, peppers, onion, and a cream sauce with plain white rice. It tasted both bland and weird, so when the attention was away, I dosed it with the tahine, but my food had bits in it and it looked red, so my family noticed, and I had to come clean and explain. My aunt was very offended and asked if I just hated her cooking, and I said no. She's made great food, I just didn't like this meal. She asked why I didn't say anything, and I told her I was just raised to smile and bear it when I had a meal I didn't enjoy as a guest. The tahine was my way of just helping me do that, and this made her even more upset and start an argument with my parents. So now the whole family is annoyed with me. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for ignoring a girl who tried to start a conversation with me at the gym? This happened a couple days ago, and I'm wondering if I was unnecessarily rude. I go to the gym pretty regularly, and usually treat it as me time. I put my headphones on, I focus on my workout, and I try not to get distracted. In the middle of one of my sets, this girl next to me tried to start a conversation. I had my headphones in and was clearly mid-workout, but she kept trying to talk. I pulled one earbud out and she started asking the usual gym small talk stuff, like how many sets I had left, how long I'd been training, etc. I answered briefly, but then put my headphones back in because I wanted to continue my set. A few minutes later, she tried again. This time, I just nodded and I kept working out without really engaging. I didn't want to be rude, but I also didn't want to have a conversation in the middle of my workout. Eventually, she stopped trying, but then when she walked away, she said something like, I guess people don't talk any— Oh, no. Oh, thank goodness. Okay. Oh. Eventually, she stopped trying, but when she walked away, she said something like, I guess people don't try and talk anymore. Now I feel a bit weird about it. So Reddit, am I the asshole for not talking back to her? Am I the asshole for refusing to give my sister my old engagement ring after my divorce? I, 30F, had a divorce last year. It was mutual, nothing dramatic. I kept the engagement ring since I helped pay for it. We split the cost because we were young and we both were on her. Am I the asshole for refusing to give my sister my old engagement ring after my divorce? I, 30F, had a divorce last year. It was mutual, nothing dramatic, and I kept the engagement ring since I helped pay for it. And honestly, I just wasn't ready to get rid of it yet. Even if it didn't work out, I still value the ring. My younger sister, 25, just got engaged, and her fiance doesn't make much money, but he proposed with this really cute but simple ring. My sister recently asked if she could buy my engagement ring for a lower price since I'm not using it anymore. It would also save them money to upgrade her ring later on. They want to get a nicer ring later on. I was a little shocked and told her no, I don't wear it, but I don't want to sell it either. She said it's weird and emotionally unhealthy that I'm holding on to a ring from a failed marriage. Now our parents are hinting that I should give it or sell it to her because it would be a nice gesture and better than sitting in a drawer. Am I the asshole? Am I the scallywag for refusing to help my nephew get into a good school according to my sister-in-law? I, 38M, have done well for myself financially. I won't get into a lot of the details, but my business make a high 6 to 7 low figures in profit each year. I am determined to not be an asshole who just stockpiles money. I live a very fulfilling life, but I also make sure to help my family, my parents' 60s, and my two brothers and their families. The issue is this. One of my sister-in-law teaches in a school in a very poor area. I drop about 6 figures each year in charity to help her school and the students, paying for food, clothes, supplies, even funding a few programs. This is separate help from what I provide to the rest of my family. My other sister-in-law has been looking into getting my nephew into some really fancy school, but since he hasn't been with them since kindergarten, they are implying that he will only be accepted if its parents made a substantial donation to the school. My brother and sister-in-law came to me asking for me to provide said donation. I refused because I think it would be better to provide for the kids that really need it instead of some hoity-toity private school with a long history. Long story short, after a long back and forth, my sister-in-law says that I'm the asshole for playing favorites and for ruining my nephew's future by refusing to help him get into this school. So, am I the asshole? I mean, I could afford to do so, but I'm refusing out of principle. Am I the asshole for drinking the beers I brought to the party even though that was more than people were allowed to drink? I, 30M, am in a graduate program where most of my classmates are either fresh out of college or have had 1 to 2 years since graduating. I was invited to a party by one of my classmates, early to mid-20s M, and he said that everyone was going to bring a 6-pack of beer and we would all swap and try each other's. My partner, 30s M, came with me, but he said he didn't want to drink because he wanted to work on something the next morning. My partner and I both chose a 6-pack of beer to bring, nothing fancy, just 2 types of IPAs. We showed up and hung out and had a good time. Everyone put their 6-packs on the table, and everyone would just walk up and grab one when they needed another drink. I ended up having 8 beers that night. My partner didn't have any, but then my classmate who invited me got mad because I had 8 and we were only allowed to have 6 each. I said that since my partner and I brought 12, that it was okay, and that I drank 8 because my partner didn't drink any. Like, as a couple, we brought more than we drank. But my classmate told me that was all bullshit and asked me to pay for the 2 extra beers I drank. Am I being crazy, or is this whole thing unnecessary? Sucks. This fucking sucks. I hate this. This sucks. What is this? What the... can I skip this? Yeah, I can skip this. This is a whole fucking lava section where I can't see shit and I have to jump on little invisible ones and they give me lava. I can't do this while reading Am I the Asshole posts. Are we for real? Am I the asshole for eating a croissant in a cemetery? I had a doctor's appointment today and they told me not to eat or drink anything before it. Once I got out, I was starving and pretty thirsty, so I went to the supermarket and grabbed a croissant and a bottle of store-brand cola and went to look for somewhere to sit down. The nearest spot I could find that wasn't directly by a busy road was a cemetery, so I went in, walked down to some benches, and sat down. I had almost finished eating when a woman in her maybe 70s walked past me and asked who I was visiting, and if I didn't mind the question. I said that I was just eating somewhere quiet, which surprised her. She then told me that I should be ashamed to be so disrespectful and left. I finished eating and drinking before leaving, and I can see where she was coming from. It's possible she was grieving and looking for solidarity, but I was also just eating and it was the closest spot. So Reddit, am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for expecting a replacement of Girl Scout cookies that never made it to me? I, 28F, ordered 3 boxes of Girl Scout cookies from a coworker. We'll call her A, who was selling them for her granddaughter. I paid for all 3 boxes, one of which was for me, and the other 2 were for people who had sent me money to get the cookies for them. I was never told that there would be a third-party handoff, so I assumed that I was getting them from A. Yesterday, a different coworker, we'll call him B, told me that A had given him the cookies to give to me, but he took some of them home with his cookies, and his 13-year-old son ate one of the boxes. But he only gave me one box. B said that his son only ate one box of cookies, and that A only gave him 2 boxes total, not 3. Now I'm stuck in a weird situation. I confirmed with A that she gave him 3 boxes. B still says that they were only given 2, and I ended up with only 1, the only box that was mine. So now I either have to replace the 2 boxes that were paid for by other people, or explain to them the situation was out of my control. Is it unreasonable to ask for A to replace them and refund them since she handed them off to someone who wasn't actually responsible for getting them to me? Or unreasonable for me to expect B to replace them? Or would that just make me the asshole over some Girl Scout cookies? Am I the asshole for rescinding our gift for a sister-in-law's wedding? My spouse and I had been planning and booking our Europe trip for April 2026. We finalized all the tickets and reservations in November 2025. Around the same time in November, my sister-in-law announced they would be having their wedding in October of 2026. My spouse and I immediately offered as an early wedding gift to pay for them to travel with us on our European vacation, including flights, hotels, and activities. Sister-in-law refused because it would be weird, and they preferred to save their PTO for another destination they have not yet planned. Fair enough. This Thursday, literally the last full week of March, sister-in-law called and said they changed their minds and wanted to redeem our offer and tag along. Our trip is literally in less than 2 weeks. I looked at the last-minute flight tickets and hotels, and everything is massively expensive now. We literally would have to spend almost $4K more than if we had booked them for November 2025. I told my spouse I no longer wanted to pay for that. We're doing well for ourselves, but this is a ridiculous money difference. I volunteered to be the bad person and told them that we can no longer afford to give the gift to them. Inevitably, drama ensued, and the entire vibe is awkward at the moment. Some family members sympathized with me, while some others said, along the lines of, well, it's just the thing with weddings. Everything is expensive. So Reddit, am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for asking my daughter to move out? My daughter is in her 30s. She went through a divorce and moved in with my wife and I about 4 years ago. We do not charge rent. She's in a 100-foot apartment. 100. Okay, wait. Fuck that one up, huh? Fuck that one up. We do not charge rent, and she's in a 1,000-foot apartment in our basement with a full bath, bed, living area, and we all share a kitchen. While the relationship is generally fine, it can be inconvenient to each other to have another adult person living with us. She is now getting remarried, but informed us that she is going to remain here for now, while her husband remains at his apartment because his place is small. For reference, his apartment is a 2-bedroom with 1 bath and a small room, kitchen, living area. I informed her that her presence here is inconvenient for both of us, and I believe that she is remaining here out of fear of inconveniencing her new husband. She swears that they are looking for a house and will be out soon, but I am afraid this could take years. Am I the asshole for asking my daughter to move out of my house? Am I the asshole for asking my boyfriend why he didn't come back with my drink? I feel like I'm going crazy, so I need some outside opinions. I went out with my boyfriend to our usual bar. We're regulars and usually sit at the bar. There was some live music, and some of my friends showed up. I mentioned it and made a kind of thing about it and was like, let's go sit with your friends. These are not random people, we've hung out with them a bunch before. So we go to sit with them, and everything is fine, but he randomly goes and sits at another table with a bunch of older guys. So I leave my friends and go sit with him, because I'm like, okay, I thought we were hanging out together. Then he says he's gonna get us drinks and we'll be right back. So now I'm sitting there with these kind of random guys I don't know waiting for him. After a while, he's not back, so I text him asking if he's coming back, and he responds, I'm at the bar, are you blind? Apparently, he just went and sat at the bar and started talking to other people and didn't say anything to me. So I had to get up and find him, and when I asked why he didn't come back with my drink, like he said, he acted like I was being ridiculous for even asking. I felt kind of embarrassed, honestly, for even having to ask this at this age, but am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for refusing to give my mom access to my bank account after she helped me open it? I, 18F, just turned 18 a few months ago and opened my bank account. When I first did it, my mom helped me set up everything since I had no idea what I'm doing. Because of that, she still has access to my account. At the time, I didn't think it was a big deal. I recently noticed she's been checking my transactions and commenting on them, like if I order food or buy clothes. She'll bring it up later and say stuff like, you're wasting your money, or that's not necessary. Last week, she asked me why I spent so much money on going out with friends and said I should be saving instead. I told her it's my money, I'm trying to learn how to manage it myself. She got upset and said that since she helped me open the account, and I still live at home, she has a right to know what I'm doing with my money. That didn't sit right with me, so I went to the bank and removed her access without telling her. She found out a few days later and was mad, and she said that I went behind her back, that I'm being sneaky, and I'm not ready to be independent if I can't be transparent. Now things are tense at home, and she keeps bringing it up, saying I broke her trust. I get that she was helping me, but I also feel like I should have some privacy now that I'm 18. Am I the asshole? I tried to drink a lot of water for a bit, and then I realized my camera didn't even record me, like, drinking the water. It filtered it out. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I feel like I'm gonna puke. I just drank so much water. Have a great day.